Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's latest global developments. My name is Alec, and in front of me I have Joshua Cheatham. This week's topics, we're going to be talking about the Ecuadorian president dissolving parliament, and the G7 summit, and the Japan defense policy. Just a disclaimer: the G7 summit, there probably would have been more talks by the time of this upload, so we're giving out information that is as of May 19th of 5:38 p.m. So this is what we have, the latest. We double checked before we started recording if we got everything nailed. Uh before we start going to the Ecuadorian president, I do want to talk about the G7 summit and Japan's new defense policy or their their military buildup. But starting with the G7 summit, the G7 leaders are meeting in Hiroshima as of right now, discussing what they're going to do. It's all things Russia and China, classic. They're looking to stiffen sanctions against Russia and pledge to restrict exports that could aid Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Some things that they want to sanction include their ability to trade in metals and diamonds. And they said G7 leaders also look to reduce reliance on China and foster more cooperation. Quote, they say our new policy approaches are not designed to harm China. We do not seek to thwart China's economic progress and development, but they just want for stable and constructive ties with Beijing. This is quoted directly from Reuters. So, yeah,
It's interesting. Well, we also just learned today that apparently the United States is training Ukrainians in F-16s.
yeah, that blew my mind. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, what are we doing here?
wait a minute. But so that happened just today. Because they're 14 hours ahead of us. So 14 hours ago would have
Mhm.
been like it wasn't exactly 14 hours ago, but it was probably like 7 hours ago when I got
The
the
notification.
notification from the New York Times that this coming in. So this is brand new. They're waking up right now, I believe. It's about 8 o'clock
Hmm.
in Japan time, so
I know I have it.
things are gonna be
Oh.
fresh starting in a few minutes probably. So if something comes up on
It
our
is
phone,
6:40 a.m. in Tokyo right now.
6:40?
A.m. Yeah.
I thought they were 14 hours ahead.
I don't know.
Who
What?
knows? Anyway, but they're gonna be waking up soon is the point. So, but this is a good start because I mean realistically right now the Ukrainians are whooping the Russians' ass. Like the Russians, they got nothing right now. The
Big stalemate.
counteroffensive. What?
Big
Big
stalemate.
stalemate. The counteroffensive that Ukraine is likely going to happen still is going to push them back. And F-16s are probably a part of that counteroffensive now that I think about it. That's probably why they're giving it to them. I don't know why the
I
U.S.
mean,
would be a part of that.
wasn't there something like even if they do say we're gonna go ahead with the F-16s, there's still like a few months period before they actually get access to those F-16s.
Well, yes, because they have to get
Logistics
yeah,
wise,
yeah,
yeah,
shit. But
they're still
May
training.
yeah, they're still gonna be training him. Hopefully they're not gonna be used as like a counteroffensive to like into Russia, because
Oh,
that's a problem.
that's yeah.
I'd rather just be to push him back. But so that's the start of it. Now, I really want to discuss the China part of it because as much as people love to talk about the war in Ukraine, I truly believe that it really, in the grand scheme of things in life in the future, is not going to matter as much as China. And so Japan is really looking forward because they realizing that China is squeezing them
Yep.
as an island country, and there's nobody to the sides of them for hundreds of thousands, or not hundreds of thousands of miles, but thousands of miles to get to the U.S., and then it's just China directly staring them in the face.
Right.
So this is a strong policy that they're trying to push to create more trade avenues that are not going to be with the Chinese, and I think it's good policy because everyone's so reliant on the Chinese, and
Hmm.
especially Japan, because where does everything comes from China's owned ports and hubs and oil mines to China, and then if they trade anything else, it goes to Japan. So this could create more trade routes and avenues for the Japanese, also the United Kingdom, Italy, Canada, all of them,
Yep.
Germany. So that'll be a big starting point for them to create new policies to not rely on the Chinese trade.
We'll see what they come out with on Monday, though.
Yeah.
By the time they upload, we're gonna keep monitoring it, so we'll see. But for now, this is their goal is to reduce excessive dependencies, and like you said, Japan needs something, not just economically, but militarily as well, which will lead to our discussion on Japan defense policy.
Hmm.
But before we go into that, what else is going on at the G7 is they're also trying to achieve a world without nuclear weapons. So pretty
Just another.
most normal G7 summit.
Yeah.
They have promised many times to get rid of all nukes, but that's
Kishida, he has always done that since he's come into office. The previous prime minister, same thing. It's a big symbolism of Japan. That's why they hosted it in Hiroshima this year. If you ever get a chance to go there, please go. It's beautiful. We went in the fall, but it's is it gonna happen? Probably not.
not
Um,
for
yeah, not for a long time. The next one that they're talking about in there is artificial intelligence. That's a big one.
hmm.
ChatGPT is brand spanking new. OpenAI services. What's the one that they just created? Google.
Oh,
I forget what it's
I
called,
forgot.
but they create. Yep.
Microsoft creating their own as well.
Well, I thought ChatGPT was Microsoft.
No,
What is that?
Microsoft created their own through Bing, I think.
What's ChatGPT?
Its own entity.
Crap.
It's coming out so quick.
Oh, it's to see OpenAI. That's what
Yeah,
they are.
OpenAI is
Interesting. But this is a big development because this is affecting, universities worldwide. This is affecting businesses worldwide, governments. This new AI, it's so intelligent and it's useful, but it's also, I don't know how to put a word on it.
affects.
It's so
It's
big.
going to not affect. It's going to reshape
The way we
the
do
economy,
things. Yeah.
the global economy, I should say.
Yeah.
There's going to be a new reliance on using AI tools compared to actually doing manual labor and actually having to do anything really.
Yeah.
You could just type in a prompt, it'll tell you what to do. So it's going to knock out a lot of services worldwide
Oh yeah.
because of AI. There's going to be a global shakeup, and I think that having this AI discussion at the G7 summit is fantastic.
Important.
I hope that they're discussing ways to implement AI into the economy and not,
Yeah.
oh my God, AI.
We're gonna get so afraid.
You're getting so afraid. I hope that it's not a discussion of AI is going to take over, but rather how can we implement AI in more into different sectors of our economy?
Just regulate it. I mean, like that's all you need because, well, I forget what Wall Street trading company said, but they are going to start using AI as a tool to trade stocks to make their
It's
companies and
quicker.
clients
It's
money.
quicker.
Yeah.
You tell an AI, hey, I need X amount of shares. I don't know how they're going to use the AI, but hopefully it's something like client X needs to order 500 shares of Apple AI split second. You don't need
Or
a
like,
broker to.
what's the future of stocks going to be now? Like,
Oh yeah,
it's going to be so
with AI.
important.
Yep.
I also saw that there was a medical company, private company in I think it was the UK, could have been the US, that used AI to detect a 1 in 1 million disease that's almost undetectable. But it got it in 3 minutes. It saved someone's life because they would have died without. So that's where AI can be very useful, but where it can be detrimental, in cases of, non-state actors if they get a hold of AI. Or if, the Russians use AI to their advantage to, create, let's say, robots, machines that can, shoot people, kill people
For harm.
for
Use
harm. Yeah,
AI
for
for
harm.
harm.
So that can be where the problems go. That's just where regulations need to be.
I don't think they're going to go that far into deep into
Not
discussion,
yet,
unfortunately,
unfortunately.
because we're still understanding what AI can do and can't do. So,
I just thought of something.
but
We need to create an AI committee in the UN.
ooh,
A new
ooh,
AI committee in the
a new
UN.
tech committee.
Yeah, tech committee. I think that could be very important because they have the cyber committee, but what about the tech? Maybe combine them.
Maybe Fallout, the cyber committee takes AI under its wing,
Yeah, AI and tech.
and then have nothing ever be done about it. It's the UN.
That's true. But yeah, it'd be good for the world.
That's my own opinion. But
Yeah. Okay, here's the last one though that's on that Reuters think is going to be on the agenda because remember the talks only happened just today, so and the second day is going to be in a couple of hours for them. But the Allies are no doubt going to quiz U.S. President Joe Biden on how serious the risk of debt default in the United States for the
ooh,
world's economy.
I'm so glad they're bringing this up.
So that's going to be big.
I think I read something
The debt
earlier
ceiling
today about that the Republicans weren't still were unable to find a negotiation.
with the Democrats.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think they're still at a standstill. There was good progress made, and I think they're back at a standstill.
interesting.
So, yes, this is an important discussion to have,
Global
regardless,
effects.
because this is going to set back a lot of economies if the United States defaults. And this is a very important conversation to have. What we need in the United States right now is to have these world leaders come to the United States and talk to the Democrats and the Republicans in our legislative building and say, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I get it. Negotiations need to happen. The legislative process takes time. But when we're about to default, we need to
We
raise
have
it.
to raise it.
We have to
Yeah,
raise it.
it's
We're
enough
not going to set back the world economy because of debates happening because of us.
because we
We
can't
we
cut
cannot be
some.
responsible for what's going to happen. We can
Plus,
have the
yeah,
discussion after. So when the next time comes and we need to raise it again, which will happen, we won't we won't have to. Yeah.
look, I mean, the most important thing about the debt ceiling and the questions for the debt ceiling is that there's ways that the United States can subsidy it. I mean, like, first off, creating new trade with any country, which like creates more income. Um, that could just be the start. Why do we need to focus inward on cutting? Why don't we focus on making money?
Mhm.
That's an important part. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
businesses do.
yeah.
Businesses don't usually focus on cutting unless they're in recessionary play
Well,
like
we've seen
time.
that in these past 2 years.
Because we're
Okay.
moving into recessionary
Mhm.
times, but usually they don't do that. And honestly, to be like realistically, who I think I've said this before, who the hell do we owe? Like, okay, let's be real. The United States are always paying its bills. We're always going to pay our
We
bills.
run on debt. That's just how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah,
We run on debt to make money.
yeah. We're $25 trillion economy, the biggest in the world. I mean, if you combined, besides you take out China, you combine the next six, and it still won't equal the United States. So realistically, what does it matter if we raise debt ceiling again? And then the first thing we should be looking outwards is how can we create new trade partners? What can we do in the Middle East? What can we do in Africa? What can we do in Asia? What can we do in Europe? What can we do in Latin America?
Even with these G7 leaders sitting here next to each other, what can we all do? Not just the United States, because whatever they come up with, trade plans,
Well, yeah,
investment opportunities, they're seven of the biggest world leaders.
yeah,
We can figure out new avenues where to research. Let's dive more into Africa. Let's dive more into no, but I'm sure this is not a topic of discussion right now
no, definitely
because
not.
and it should be because it's going to alleviate a lot of problems
Yes.
had they had the discussion. But they want to focus directly on sanctioning and how to compete with China. If you want to compete with China, do everything we just said.
Yeah, literally.
Look into other ways. We need to be unique.
Yeah,
We regurgitated the same thing every G7 summit.
yeah. And it's not like the Europeans don't have their own problems right now. I mean, all of them. High inflation, can't
We had
pay
this. We
their
all have
workers.
similar problems.
Let's figure out how we can work together to create new policies and hopefully get passed by, Parliament, everyone's parliaments and Congress. The last thing that we're probably going to be brought up for it was going to be another U.S. thing is the Inflation Reduction Act. European Union
Ah,
and its partners are very worried that
oh boy.
the 369 billion of green subsidies is going to basically deplete the market in
Mhm.
Europe. I don't think that's going to be the case because
Deplete the market.
it literally says the EU fears an exodus of European industry. Like,
That is,
Considering that France and Germany are the leading countries in the world in green tech, I don't think it's going to be an issue. The UK is in the top 10.
it's the Inflation Reduction Act. Love it or hate it, regardless of where you are in the world. Promote competition.
Exactly.
Subsidies with subsidies. Figure out ways to. This is why we live in this type of world.
Yes.
We're a competitive based economic global economy. That's how we are. We always run on competition. So why are they in exit? That's what crazy.
No, yeah, literally. This is quoted from Reuters. The EU fears an exodus of European industry. It's not going to happen.
It will
It's
never
literally
happen.
not going to
It
happen.
will never happen.
Manufacturing was invented in Europe. Period. It's not going to leave. I mean, like literally, how many people are on strike right now in their transportation, manufacturing, oil, whatever in Europe? People care. So it's not going to go anywhere. In the US, who basically removed all manufacturing, we're trying to bring some back. It'll be fine, Europeans. Don't fret. Don't worry. Tell your
It
leaders that.
please do because yeah,
Yeah.
they're a
Anyways.
little too overworried. Now, I think we should shift our focus to now Japan's defense policy.
To Japan. The Japanese coming
He
into this
was ready.
conference.
He was ready for this one.
Yeah, the Japanese coming into this conference are very scared of China. And not because of the economic reasons, but because of what's happening with the instability around the South China Sea and Taiwan. The routine military exercises have taken a new sense of urgency recently within the Japanese military. Colonel Masatoshi Tanaka he has a quote. Hold on, let me find it.
Mhm.
He has a quote saying, no, that's not it. Sorry. He has a quote saying that we're very nervous. We are facing airspace violations of Japanese territory every day. Chinese activities have expanded in number and quality. They involve UAVs, bombers, reconnaissance planes. There are many active aircraft carriers in this sea. They believe the conflict is going to start in the Okinawa island chain, which is about 600, maybe a little less miles from Taiwan. And so the Japanese role is going to grow in their regional stability. And that's exactly why in December, um, how do you say his name again? Kishima, sorry. Kishima, Prime Minister of Japan, said that they're pledging 320 billion US dollars to upgrade their military, their defense.
And that's massive. What did you say before this episode was the
Uh,
third largest now?
as of 2023, they're the second largest. As of 2024, they'll still be the third. And by 200 billion. They're above Russia, like 84 billion in defense policy.
Here's the thing. They need protection. It's just a must.
Yep.
Whether people believe out there in increasing or decreasing the defense budget, for Japan it makes sense. You have, as you said before, reconnaissance aircraft, UAVs, bombers, aircraft carriers, literally just chilling
Yeah.
right outside their airspace, right outside their water. So what is it? The war?
South China Sea,
No, what's the word called in their?
territorial waters.
Yeah, in their
Yeah.
territorial waters. Not in there, but
Outside, yeah.
very close to their territorial waters. It makes sense,
It
and
does.
Japan is doing the right thing because they need to create a sort of fear. They need to park their own stuff in there too. They need to show to them, listen, we're about it as well. We don't need the United States here. We have them here, ready for us,
Yep.
but we'll take care of you on our own. And that's what they want. That's the message they want to send. And it's the message they need to send. Because South China's Sea game has been going on for too long. For too long. So,
Yeah, I don't really care what people think in terms of our politicians and our foreign policy. Deterrence always, always has worked post World War II. Proxy wars aside, in Vietnam, in South Korea, and proxy wars aside, a world war has never occurred since World War II because
of
of
deterrence.
deterrence. World War One started because they're all the well they're the Allied powers had small militaries and had to build up. World War Two, same thing. France tore down their military. Germany built up their army. Different world, different times. I understand. We're all more economically tied. But this is a big case because Australia and Japan and South Korea pledging this amount of money, Germany, France, Italy, United Kingdom pledging this amount of money, the United States raising its budget for the first time in a long time. Important to show the likes of Russia and China, we're we don't care what you're not going to bully us. You're just not. So this is
Not
very
happening.
important for the Japanese.
Yep. Yep. That's pretty much.
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah,
anything else for that one. I mean,
yeah.
it makes sense. Yes, there have been some protests within Japan. What was that? I was reading this one like personal story from a villager near the air base. I forgot where I read it, but she had it was some old lady. She goes, "I just don't want war. I fear of a war, and I don't want this beautiful place to be destroyed." So there's fear within the country
Oh
with
yeah,
this
of course.
military buildup.
But
And from
they
the
need
outside perspective, I feel like the rest of the world is like, good, like you're doing well,
yeah,
which is interesting to think about. Now that I'm thinking about it, inwards they're like, oh man, like this is not good. But outwards we're like, oh, keep
yeah. I
going.
mean, the Japanese since post World War II have always just feared like war because what the United States did to Japan was unprecedented
Hmm.
in history, and that's even besides dropping nuclear bombs. So I can understand the sentiment, but
I just thought of something.
yeah,
What if Japan during this time in the G7, they're like, listen, we're building up our military. Can any of y'all help us out in any way? Well, it might be it might happen, may or may
probably
not.
will.
But
Because
I
I mean,
mean,
I think all of the G7 have their military budgets this year.
yeah,
Even Canada, and Canada, what do they need to do, right?
yeah.
So that's definitely a step in like the direction that there's a lot more fear that a world war is coming. But I mean, hopefully, like I said, deterrence is going to prevent it all from happening because I just don't. There's not enough. I mean, Russia doesn't have the power to defeat all of Europe. Period. You got the United States and Canada. Forget about it. Same with China. I mean, China could take on South Korea and Japan and Australia, but if you shove the United States in there, instantly
Change the
become
world.
outnumbered.
Change the playfield.
Yeah, it changes the game, and so I think this is going to be a big. I think Biden just needs to reassure security to the world,
Mm.
and then I think the rest of the G7 will do the same. But I think we should move on now to something that is unfortunately not headlining news.
Ridiculous.
And it was it Monday or Tuesday? What day
I'm
does it say?
not
2 days
sure.
ago, so it was Wednesday actually.
Whenever you texted me,
Yeah, Wednesday's Ecuadorian president dissolved parliament after an impeachment trial. Now, he was accused of turning a blind eye to alleged embezzlement and was facing an imminent vote that could have ousted him from office. The vote had, I think, 87 out of the 132. All they needed was 90 something out of the 132. I don't remember exactly what they needed. 92 out of, yeah, they need 92 out of 137. So that's two-thirds majority. So very close. He was 4 votes away. I mean, it was basically going to happen if they did another vote.
yep.
So he invoked constitutional article called Muerte Cruzada, which means mutual death, and I'm butchering that, so don't yell at me for that. Called mutual death that basically the president holds power for 6 months and then brand new elections are pushed up
Hmm.
for new president, parliament, national assembly, yada yada.
First, before we continue,
Yeah, go ahead.
why is that a thing in your constitution?
That's what I'm saying.
First of all,
That's what I'm
first of all, like how
By the way, this is not like some ancient thing that they had in their constitution. This was introduced in 2008, a nice 15 years ago.
that is
Modern day times.
keep going. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, so that is a fascinating thing. Yeah, this clause was introduced in 2008, never been used before, obviously, because it's brand spanking new. So, he said that this was a political mission to stabilize democracy. the president. He's part of the conservative leader. The majority, though, is this party called I think it's called the Pious Party. That's how you say it. The Proud and Sovereign Homeland Party, Alliance Party, which is led by previous president Rafael Correa, the longest um, Democratic leader ever, 10 years in office. He's considered a democratic socialist and a former president. He was caught on corruption cases for selling state medical supplies to state hospitals and also taking $7.5 million from private firms.
Jesus.
So, and $7.5 million in Ecuador, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So, that changed a lot for the country. Um, it's really interesting how this is a regular occurrence, unfortunately, in Latin America. And there's gonna be another case of just the stabilization for Latin America and South America in general, in particular.
And I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, look at Venezuela. Another prime example of in Latin America where it's just the not dissolving the government, but more
Dictatorship. Yeah.
one corrupt politician that took over everything and does not listen to their legislator. And it's not just Venezuela too. There have been one or two other countries in Latin America within the past few years that not have essentially tried to dissolve their government, but have committed corrupt acts. They have been caught with embezzlement. They have caught with in drug trafficking. Been caught in aiding gangs and everything in general. Really.
Mexico's another one.
Yep, Mexico is another one too. But it's stuff like these where Latin America they can become such an important part in the global stage had they not been plagued by such very corrupt people. And it's moments like these where these gangs and drug trafficking skyrockets.
Yep.
Because what do people do when they don't trust the government? They start mafias, they start gangs, they start finding ways to make their own money because they can't trust the government. And they don't even have a government anymore. They don't. And what's hilarious is now that the government's dissolved, there's a Washington Post article posted literally today in 5 in the morning. He goes, the headline is after dissolving legislature, Ecuador's president says he's leaving too. So, a
Well,
day after he dissolved and averting his impeachment, he said, I'm out of here. That's legit exactly what happened. He dissolved the legislature. He couldn't get an impeachment process. And that's it.
tips.
In dips.
Well, he's obviously, was, I don't think his conservative, quote unquote, conservative party is what they call it in Ecuador, is going to get reelected. The socialists are definitely more popular from personal account, which I'm going to bring up in a moment. So of course he dips because he's probably gonna get arrested once and he's gonna have to leave and go to
Hmm.
Belgium like Rafael Correa did. Correa did as well because of his problems with embezzlement. So it's just another sad
Most
story.
average day,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it's another sad story. But just to not to make it even more sad, but I'm gonna discuss a personal account from someone we know who lived in Ecuador, is in the U.S. now, but has family there. This person, basically the state is hiding as much as they can from the media. Like
Hmm.
it is impossible to find articles right now, and I don't know if that's because they just don't care about covering it because of the G7 summit and what's going on in Ukraine, or it's just really hard to find.
I just think it's a mix of both.
It's probably a mix of both. But this person said that state and community colleges haven't held classes in months because they're not paying professors. There's no more medical supplies in the public healthcare system. So, and this has been since COVID, that a lot of public healthcare people have been basically risking their lives without any medical supplies to help the people
Hmm.
in general. And this isn't the first time of corruption cases. Democratic Socialist leader Rafael Correa, the former president of the Ecuador from 2007 to 2017, was also caught on corruption crimes. And he might be the next leader again.
Hmm.
Of the socialists. They're very powerful within the country. This person also says next president can be Jorge Glass, which is a popular socialist leader,
Hmm.
or the current vice president Alfredo Borrero, who is who was also in jail a few months ago for corruption. So
Can you name one person that hasn't gone to jail? Who was the one person you think?
Jorge Glass.
Okay,
Yeah,
so most likely he's probably going to get
yeah,
it just off of that one thing. Second thing, socialism will be big in the next presidency because of everything you said. There's no money to professors. Medical's facilities are out, so they're going to need a form of socialism where it's
yep.
share based type economy, where they need to rebuild somehow,
They don't trust
and
democracy
they,
anymore.
which is also another thing.
Yeah,
Unless they take out the clause you said, which was the muerte cruzada clause,
yeah.
or the constitutional provision, whatever it's called. I think their first step after they rebuild, after they create a new national assembly and find a stable president, is to reform the constitution again. Then they can move on to
Yeah,
helping out the different sectors in their own country.
yeah.
So that should be the first thing in their policy agenda
Hmm.
is to I don't I don't know what they were thinking originally doing this, creating an exit plan for the government and creating a like just
Like it's like
a
an
big
all.
red button that says blow up the government.
It's an all
Like
powerful thing
why?
because here's the thing that it said here. Where is it? There the leader of the army literally said that the head of the armed forces, Nelson Proano, also sent the message to anyone planning violent protests, warning the country won't accept any attempt to alter constitutional order through violence. So that means that Ecuador's police and military basically backs the president. So that gives, if he were to want to take over the country,
Yeah,
it's literally right there. Right now, he could tell the military and police to basically arrest anyone that's not, aligning with how we view Ecuador should be.
this is exactly what happened in Venezuela.
Yeah,
Exactly what happened.
literally. And so thank goodness. I'm not saying that he didn't do crimes, but thank goodness that he is stepping down and actually actively said that he is going
I'm
to
out.
step down.
He said I'm out.
Because first off, that means he really truly doesn't care about, being in power. It also means he's probably, going to get arrested if they, win elections. But anyways, it's interesting. It's just so weird. Like why? Why?
I'm just thinking about like implications right now, and the only thing I could think of is just implications within Latin America. It wouldn't be something that
It's gonna be a new
would hurt
socialist wave, I think.
in Latin America. I don't think so much in outside of the world.
Oh yeah, yeah, in Latin America, yeah.
In Latin America, because name one country outside of Latin America that has stepped in to try to support democracies and try to rebuild a democracy within Latin America. This is another one of those cases where the international community looks at it and goes, "That is crazy," and looks the other way.
Yeah,
Th- This is where like big countries, big democracies like the United States, they're our neighbors. They are our neighbors. They are within our hemisphere.
yeah. And
Why
they're
are we
doing
not?
nothing.
We need to support our region. This is regional security. We can't just be the only ones in our hemisphere. We need to support everyone within our hemisphere. I mean, look at the EU. They're supporting each other.
Yep,
They are the Europe. That's what we think of. The first thing I think of when I see Europe, when I hear the word Europe, is the EU.
yep,
When people say Americas, I only see the United States in my image,
yep,
which is unfortunate. And this is
yep.
like, we're all about protecting democracy. Where is it? Where is this protection of democracy? We're leaving out our Latin America partners. And they could be such usefulness to us and to each other, really.
Yeah,
United States and Latin America partnership and vice versa. But
yeah. You're right. It's very sad that our policy is. Bush was the first one actually to create like what was it called? I forget what it's called.
oh, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
but
about.
it was the Latin American and U.S. Trade partnership, and that was the only thing in the last 30 years that the United States has done to create a relationship with Latin America and bring manufacturing and trade to Latin America. Since then, nothing. Outside of Mexico and Canada, nothing. For why? Like we're wasting our time by not engaging with them because if we engage with Latin America, we're going to become richer. They're going to become richer. Our world's going to become a safer place. Period. Period. That's it.
And guess what? This is not going to be talked about at G7 either.
Nope. Nope. Latin
And
America is probably not even on
this
the
is not even the
list.
first time this has happened. This is multiple times. I mean, even
Multiple.
look at, not too long ago in Brazil, the elections. They stormed the Capitol. The storming of the Capitol. We have Venezuela, Guatemala,
Oh yeah, I forgot Guatemala.
Guatemala too.
Yeah, geez.
It's just like it blows my
It's
mind.
widespread
It
and we're
blows my
not doing
mind
anything.
that we're not doing anything. The international media has not done anything. But
Yeah.
yeah.
They need to do
So
more. But yeah,
oh, and the media won't. Barely.
yeah,
You'd be
I
lucky if you find good articles
that
on it.
pisses me off. I remember when I first like looked up on the BBC some things that were going on in the world. And the first, oh my god, this pissed me off so much. The headline that I looked up on World News was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle get caught in a paparazzi chase and it almost ended catastrophically. And then right next to it, little tiny little block is Ecuadorian president dissolves parliament, and I just go, huh? What? What? Meghan Markle. First off, headline news. Period. I don't care about some stupid actress who joins the royal family who's worth billions of dollars. I don't care. When there are people at stake here, like people's lives are at stake in Ecuador now, and it's just brushed aside.
The dissolving of a government. If that's just doesn't like even spark what is going on, like what is happening.
Yeah,
There is millions of people there that are going to suffer. Dissolve of government. I I don't know. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more it just pisses me off. I don't want to. Oh well.
that's why
It's
we're here to
unfortunate.
change news.
Yes.
Jesus.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
Um.
so. But
Anyways, I don't think I have any more to
I don't
discuss
have
on these.
anything
So
else.
everybody, by the time this comes out, the G7 will have been over. If we predicted some things, don't blame us. We're awesome. Um, and also if keep up on the Ecuadorian problem because it's going to affect the entire region whether we like it or not. It's going to, and whether we care or not, it's going to. We should care. So just make sure to do your research on these things. See what the G7 talks about. Maybe they'll bring it up. Maybe they won't. But this G7 conference is very important. It's going to tell the future for the wealthier nations in the West. Hopefully, stop the war in Russia and in the
In
future
Ukraine.
and in Ukraine.
It's,
Sorry, and then stop change our reliance from China to the rest of the world. So we'll see.
yep.
Mhm.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
have a good one.